learning objectives. At the end of this module, the learners will be able to get acquainted with the plot, the theme, and the characters of the play, The Tempest, Act 1, Scene 1. To understand Elizabethan English and Shakespearean vocabulary, along with the socio-economic background that prevailed. This module consists of the following The Tempest, written between 1610 and 1611, the entire action of the play. The main action of the play takes place on a remote and uninhabited island, which is an imaginary wonderland full of noises, sounds, and sweet airs. It is assumed that the island is located somewhere off the route from Tunis to Naples. Prospero, the great magician, controls the island, and at his command, spirits assume various shapes, such as hounds, apes, hedgehogs, and adders. The play opens with a shipwreck in the midst of a furious sea storm. The location is a ship at sea, with distinguished personalities on board. The ship crew include Master, who is the commander of the ship, Bosun, an officer on the ship, and mariners, or sailors. Now, let us acquaint ourselves with the plot of the scene. While the furious storm is blowing together with thunder and lightning, the sailors struggle hard to save the ship. There seems to be no hope of survival. Most of the people on board scream and shout in desperation. Meanwhile, several of the royal passengers enter. Alonso, the king, demands to know where the master, the commander of the ship, is to be found. The bosun orders them to go below deck, as he is worried that the passengers will interfere with the operation of the ship. Then, the king's counselor, Gonzalo, reminds the bosun that he is speaking to the king, but the bosun is unmoved. He declares that he will do what he has to do in order to save the ship, regardless of who is aboard. He also points out that if the king really has so much power, he should use it to control the storm. If he lacks this power, the royal party should go below deck. Thus, the royal party exits, apparently going below deck to see. However, Antonio, Sebastian, and Gonzalo return topside again, and the bosun gets annoyed with them. But he carries on with his efforts to save the ship. Soon, the sailors enter, lamenting that the ship is lost. Antonio, Sebastian, and Gonzalo decide to join the rest of the royal party below decks, fearing that they will all soon die. Now, let us read and understand the play. The following slides consist of the original text of the play. You may click or tap on the difficult words or phrases, highlighted in blue, for the meaning, and the notes icon for the paraphrase and explanatory notes. Due to the uncertainty about the let us critically evaluate the opening scene of the play. Even though the opening scene of The Tempest is very short, comprising only 65 lines, the scene is dramatically very significant because it narrates the central action of the play. The play opens in the midst of a fierce storm, and a ship carrying royal personages is caught in the furious storm and is tossing upon the waves. It is this furious storm which provides to the play its title, The Tempest. All the events that follow in the play are connected with the storm. Due to the uncertainty about the fate of the passengers on the ship, the scene creates an atmosphere of danger, distress, tension, and suspense. However, the light-hearted remarks by Gonzalo, the old courtier, somewhat relieve the tension. The confrontation between the royal passengers and the bosun reveals one of the most important themes in The Tempest, that is, class conflict. It is the conflict between those who seize and hold power and those who are often the unwilling victims of power. Let us now analyze the character traits of the dramatis personae, who appear in the opening scene of the play. At first, the bosun. Though the bosun seems to be arrogant when he orders the royal passengers to return below deck, he is performing his job. He feels that stopping his work in response to Alonso's request for the master is foolish. He cares little for Alonso's rank as king and asks, "What cares these roarers for the name of king?" Even though the royal party tries to intimidate him, he refuses to budge but says, "Use your authority to stop the storm." In his opinion, all men are equal in a storm, and all are equally at risk. In the midst of a storm, class or status should not remain an important part of life. Now, let us discuss the character of Gonzalo, revealed in the opening scene of the play. Gonzalo, the old courtier at the court of Naples, is an honest and trusted advisor to King Alonso. He is garrulous and witty, and has an optimistic outlook. He maintains his balance of mind and tries to remain apparently composed when confronted with the fearful situation of the shipwreck. When the ship is about to sink, he has faith in God and says, "The wills above be done, but I would fain die a dry death." Now, let us analyze the character of Antonio, the real villain in the play. Antonio, the brother of Prospero, is an arrogant person. He is hardly nervous in the face of danger when the ship is caught in a furious storm. When the bosun speaks to him in a discourteous manner, he abuses him and says, "Hang, cur! Hang, you insolent noisemaker! We are less afraid to be drowned than thou art." How about a character sketch of Sebastian? Sebastian, the brother of King Alonso, does not feel nervous in the face of danger that threatens the ship on which he is one of the passengers. He is haughty and rude to the bosun. When the bosun speaks to him in a discourteous manner, he rebukes him, saying, "A pox o'er your throat, you bawling, blasphemous, incharitable dog.